the record, my name is Tommy Oakes. I'm the interim legislative liaison for the Gambling Commission. I'm going to talk to you about, I don't know, the legislative wrap up. It's not completely done, but kind of where we're at for what's going on legislative session. So I'm kind of going to take you almost like a little bit of the whole year of what happened, so you guys can kind of get an idea of what happened in the legislature. Next slide. There we go. The legislature's not done yet. There's a special session starting May 16th. This has to do with the drug possession law. This really won't affect us at all, but it is something that will be going on. And then obviously there's some of the budget things. If we talk about any of them, they'll be, if the budget's not signed yet by the governor. So really nothing finalized. So everything's kind of just up in the air as far as the budget goes as we're going through there. Next slide. So our 2023 legislative wrap up. So I'm going to talk to you about bills that passed that will affect the Gambling Commission. Obviously, our agency request bill, substitute House Bill 1132, deal with training and certification of our limited law enforcement officers that passed, along with House Bill 1707 relating to bingo, conducted by bona fide charitable nonprofit organizations. And second substitute, Senate Substitute Bill 5634 concerning problem gambling passed. And also there's some budget items, and I'll go into each one of these kind of a little bit more individually of what happened. Next slide. So Substitute House Bill 1132, this is our agency request legislation. We had voted on this, well, a long time ago, but July or August, I think it was. So it came to fruition. We were able to get it through. It adds limited authority peace officers to law enforcement personnel, subject to the Criminal Justice Training Commission requirements. It requires limited authority peace officers to, with a 2-year break to comply with background investigations, modifies our basic training requirements for certain limited liability peace officers, and requires the CJTC to certify limited peace officers currently employed. So basically it had a 2-part clause just for everybody's concern. The ones that are currently working are now going to get certified, and then going forward, those officers will go into the certification process through the way CJTC do their current rules set. Next slide. And how did we get to this? And I want to kind of mention this because this is really important for our agencies and agencies that I want the commissioners to be aware of. We kind of did a full court press with Law and Justice Day, and just this one day alone, we had 25 legislators. We met with 25 legislators. I can tell you my entire time at the legislature, I never had a day where I got to meet more than probably 4 or 5. But to have 25 in one day is pretty impressive. We had 21 staff that attended. This is one of the biggest law and justice days we've ever had. So kudos to our staff to really push this, to get this going. Kudos to our director to really make this a priority to get us in there. And I really believe this affected how successful our bill was. Because as you know, it went through unanimous. As a position to it, through every committee, through all the floor votes and everything else, it was unanimous. I believe a lot of this has to do with some of this part right here. We also worked with 5 limited law enforcement agencies to get this bill through. They were affected as well. So you got liquor and cannabis, you have Department of Natural Resources, state parks, and the Office of Insurance Commissioner. We all bonded together to get this to that finish line. So really proud of the teamwork we had from that. Go to the next slide. And it resulted in this. This is our photo. It was a good team effort. Like I said, to have everybody there. Representative Goodman sponsored the bill. Ex officio Rude was also the co-sponsor of this bill. So really was exciting to get this to this finish line. I'm really happy with that. Next slide. So kind of like I do every year, just what will change for us? What's going to change for the Gambling Commission? How is this going to affect us? We got some policy changes that need to be to comply with this law. We specifically on those policy changes are hiring and training standards. We have to make sure we're following all standards at general authority as far as hiring goes and training. I can tell you on the training side, we're all good. We've been doing that because of accreditation. We've been following through all of those. So there's not going to be a big change as far as training goes. The big caveat I would tell you is we'll need to stay in contact with CJTC. This is going to be a big thing. They're going to be writing rules. We're coming into a process where general authority has all the de-escalation, all this different training has already come in, and now limiteds are being added to this mix. So obviously we have a different job type. So making sure CJTC recognizes that and allows us to have training that will But not only just because it's state law, but also benefits our agency, right? If we don't do something, why would we train on it and have to be held to a standard if we're not doing, something like traffic stops, for example, or something to that extent to make sure that CDHCC recognizes that. So I would say this is probably going to be the big next step for us is keeping up with CDHCC to make sure they understand those changes in the rulemaking. Any questions on that, Bill? Okay, the next one. House Bill 1707. This is related to bingo conducted by bona fide charitable nonprofit organizations. You've heard about this bill. We, as a Gambling Commission, were working with Representative Klova on this bill. She was awesome to work with. She sat down with us, really took our feedback, and we got this bill through. This is basically gives it instead of 3 and then license in the principal located in their county. Now they can change it to located in the state. There's no more than 3 licenses. I think we obviously earlier today you heard of a possible rule change for that as well. And that's basically what will change for us is having a new rule change to comply with this. The next slide. And one more after that. All right, another big bill that we worked on, 5634 concerning probable gambling. This has been something that's been going on for many years. And I know Commissioner Patterson, I don't see you here today, right? I know you're online, but I know this is near and dear to your heart, and this has been a long journey. I'm really excited about that. It basically, for us from the Gambling Commission, all these things that this bill does, I'm not going to really focus on that. It really focuses on us as we're on this advisory committee. And this advisory committee's got to meet quarterly to talk about all the things working for the problem gambling study and all the different recommendations from that task force. So as a Gambling Commission, we're going to be on that and have some ability to help steer that, which is pretty exciting. This bill had an emergency clause on it, so it takes effect July 1st of 2023. Next slide. And basically, this is the photo. I'm really proud of this photo because it shows look at all the teamwork here. There's a ton of different people here representing a lot of different agencies. Obviously, Senator Conway was the main sponsor of this bill. Representative Stern sponsored in the House side. So we had a lot of support from ex officios, from ex-commissioners to get this through. Representative Klova helped with this bill. But you can see all the people up there, and it's just great to see the teamwork come together and be able to get something that was so important to so many people through the finish line. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Move to the next slide. I thought what it really will change is just us meeting on that committee, making sure that we're staying up with that, providing advice and feedback. This committee will provide it back to the Healthcare Authority, and it'll discuss emerging issues related to problem gambling and strategies to address those issues. So that's kind of what our marching steps will be on that. Next slide. All right, so budget items that currently are in some form here. Like I said, it's not been signed by the governor, so these aren't final. But here's the 3 items of note that I want to kind of bring up at this point. We have a full repayment of the sports wagering loan of $3.5 million. We're going to go to 6.5 total. We paid $3 million last year, 3.5 this year, and so that's going to be completely paid off. They're going to sweep that, I think, in the next couple of days. Obviously, Criminal Justice Training Commission had funding for our bill. It's completely funded in the bill, which is always good. They're passing it. And then the last one is the CDHCC had a study to develop plans for increasing training capacity. That's the one I want to focus on the most. It's kind of not as self-explanatory. It's kind of like I call it the win. So next slide. So you've been with us on this journey that from CDHE standpoint, we went from not being really into the academy, allowed to kind of lock out of training, to now we are, and I underlined some parts in the CDHEC funding, but basically it says the planning process should include engagement with limited law enforcement agencies. It's got tribal, and it also has local law enforcement. But the fact that we're being called out now, we're being put in there, I consider that a gigantic victory. And then down at the bottom of this is a plan for how to provide basic law enforcement training to limited law enforcement officers, tribal, and additional capacity for training classes. I think we finally, we're being heard. And that's what I wanted this commission to hear is we're being heard now. And so I'm really excited about that. Next slide. All right, I just want to say thanks for a great successful year to many people. There's so much help out there that I got. Obviously, I mentioned before, Commissioner Sizemore. The help that I was received, I will tell you, it's daunting to go into this and not know what you're doing. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't. And so to have people guide you, and I can tell you from a commissioner, for what I would want to relay to the commission, we have a lot of friends. We have a lot of people that want to see us be successful. And those people were really coming out to help us. And even if we're different on the issues, sometimes in the commission meetings, I know that you hear the difference on issues and people are on different sides. What I found is when I got to the legislature, people were trying to make sure that I was able to get successful with our agency request legislation. So it was really exciting for me to see that even though we may have differences, we all still worked as a team to get things to the finish line that everybody agreed to. And I thought that was really a big moment. Our ex officios helped us out so much. Really did. Senator Holy sitting here today. It's nice. Helped me out. Senator Conway, Rick Plova. Just honestly dynamite people. It was a pleasure to work with all of them. And that's going to kind of take us to the next transition. We're transitioning. I'm no longer going to be your interim legislative liaison. I'm on. And Lisa McLean will be taking over this position. And I do want to say, next slide. I just want to say thank you to everybody for tolerating me for this time period. I enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun. And gambling deals that are around for next year are going to be the 1630, 5587, which is sports wagering and card rooms. That bill is still alive because it's a 2-year cycle. So that bill will be out there. 1824, which is deals with charitable nonprofits, allowing them to do, it's got some online components. It had a lot of things to it. I know we're working with the groups behind this bill to see if we can kind of get that a little bit closer to where the Gambling Commission staff would feel more comfortable with that bill. And then 1824, I screwed that up. I mean, pretty can. 1824 is the sports shooting. That bill got stuck on the Senate floor. It just didn't get voted on. And so that's going to come back. It lines it up with golf. There's really no opposition to it. It just ran out of time. I think that bill's going to fly through next year. 5704 is the one with the fundraising for bona fide charitable and nonprofit organizations. But I did misspeak. I apologize for that. And so those bills will be alive for next year. Those will be things Lisa will be working on. And like I said, I want to thank you all for your time again. And Lisa, go ahead and take it.
Thanks, Tommy. For the record, Lisa McLean, Legislative Policy Manager. I think I just began by saying thank you, Tommy, for all the work that you did. I know that it was a lot, and I think that we can all thank you for your efforts. And hope you'll be around to give some advice next year as well.
I just wanted to say thank you, Tommy. You did great work this past year, and I appreciate everything you did and your updates for us. So thank you very much for that. All right, sorry.